Airtable Canvas builds an app, a dashboard, or a full-blown presentation, and you can prompt it with as little as one sentence to get the outcome you're looking for. There is no layout, no drag and drop, no design elements whatsoever. And I've got access, so we're going to be diving in and building something with it for the first time. As you'll see in this video, what the actual outcome is an application on a website that looks like something that you would actually hand to a client. It's polished, it can be on brand with your colors and your design elements. Now that's really promising, and it's exactly why I have to tell you that about halfway through this video, I have to also alert you about the catch. You need to know this about Airtable Canvas because it completely changes who you will be allowed to hand that actual outcome to. But let's build first. So if you're ready to learn about Airtable Canvas, stick around and let's get into it. Welcome to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Gareth and this is Gap Consulting. And it's our mission here to help you unlock the full potential of Airtable and related no-code tools. Now we've been talking about Airtable for years on this channel, and I can confidently say that Airtable Canvas is probably the #1 coolest new feature that we've seen in Airtable for years. This is up there with the likes of Airtable automations and Airtable interfaces. It's going to revolutionize the way that you work with Airtable. Now, quick mental model, because right now, Airtable Canvas lives in Airtable Labs. Airtable Labs is the section of Airtable that is always working on the new features and releasing the cool new shiny things that we get to play with. So right now it's in Labs and it's separate from the actual product itself. So your data still lives in Airtable at the data level, and Airtable Canvas is a layer that's going to be on top of it that changes how people actually see and interact with that data. So of course, if you change a record in the base, your app changes with it. The app is live, real-time updating, and so it is dynamically changing based on the information, the data that lives in your Airtable system. But I also want to call out that Airtable's Canvas is not necessarily going to replace interfaces. Interfaces still exist as well. That's where your team is going to do the majority of their work day in and day out when they're inside of your system. So let me give it to you straight from Airtable. This is their own line about what Airtable Canvas is. Airtable describes this as a separate, prompt-built presentation layer for polished, exec-facing dashboards and decks. Now hold on to exec-facing because I think that is probably the most glossed over point. This really matters because it will dictate what you build in Labs and who you share it with. But we'll get to that in a moment. Now let's kick off by jumping into Airtable. This is our simple data layer. We always start with the data schema first on this channel, and we're going to do it again here. Customers and jobs. Super simple. Customers linking to jobs. Each job has a status, a job type, a scheduled date, a quote amount, and maybe some crew notes on that as well. And of course, you also see the link to the customer. Now let's go take a look at Canvas in action. As you'll see, super simple, prompt-based discussion here in order to build whatever it is we're going to go for. Now, I'm going to paste in a super simple prompt, and something that we stress a lot whenever we're building with AI. The more detail that you give your prompts, obviously, the better output you're going to receive. I am intentionally doing a very vague, very simple prompt to see where it gets us. I want to demonstrate for you how intuitive Airtable's Canvas actually is. So here's what we've got. An internal ops page for my landscaping business. At the top, I want total quoted revenue by job type and a count of jobs by status. Below that, a list of jobs where my team can update the status and a crew note. So let's take a quick look before we send this through at the options that we get here. #1, we can add files. So if you have additional files that you want to bring in to get a better outcome, drop them in here. #2, you can access templates. There's a presentation and a report if you want to access this to kind of kick things off. This is a shortcut to tell Airtable Canvas, hey, this is what we're building. Go ahead and use that template background. I'm not going to do that for this case because we're building more of like a KPI dashboard. Next, we have the design system. We can create new designs, we can manage our existing systems, or we can use a design. And in this case, what I've done is given it a bit of background on our brand in terms of our font, our colors, etc., so that whatever app it builds is going to have the same look and feel as our website does. Now, the last part is going to actually be where we sync up to the actual database that we want this particular Airtable canvas to be built on top of. We can only choose one base at a time as of this recording, and the name of our base is Summit Outdoor Services. So let's go ahead and select that here from the list. That is the database in Airtable. Once we're happy with this, send it through, and then we're going to set Airtable Canvas to think a little bit. Now it's going to come back most likely and ask us some questions, so let's go ahead and let it catch up here. Now it took a few moments, but Canvas has put together a plan for us to either critique or approve. So let's take a look. It gives us a breakdown of the layout. Now it's just using text really to put this together. You'll notice that what I did not do was give it any kind of description about where I want things or how I envision the actual outcome to look. Airtable Canvas is doing all of that heavy lifting for me. All of the designing, the layout, all of that happens in Canvas. I don't have to drag and drop anything. It's just pure prompting. So if I like the way that this looks, fantastic. And I can scroll through the plan here. Here's the layout. I can look at interactions. So this allows me to kind of call out the different things that will exist in this app or dashboard. It's also showing me the data. So it's saying, hey, look, I'm pulling in this information from jobs and this information from customers, namely the customer name. And that's it. Then we've got the style down here. We've already linked it up to our existing branding. And so it's using the Gap Consulting look and feel. So if we're happy with this, in the upper right corner, we just click on Build It, and then Canvas will go about actually building this dashboard from scratch. All right, we had a little bit of editing magic there because obviously it takes some time for Airtable Canvas to build the app. But here we are. A few minutes have gone by and the app is here off of just the first pass. You have the prompt on the left-hand side, which is telling you exactly what it built. And you can see that we have the ability to move around in this app. Now, a couple of things I want to bring your attention to. Number one, we can directly edit inside of Airtable Canvas. By clicking Edit, we can zone in on a particular piece and make a change. That's pretty cool. We can also annotate in here. If you want to drop in some comments, you can do that as well. And then, of course, we can also preview from different devices. And this one I think is really important because not all of the Airtable interfaces work well on mobile. But what you'll see here with the web applications that we're building in Airtable Canvas, they are all mobile, tablet, and desktop friendly. So you have the ability to cycle through the different types of screens that might display this app to verify that it shows up the way you would hope. Now, once you're happy with this, go ahead and publish the app. Now, you also have this toggle right here that allows other users who have creator access to your Airtable backend for this particular database. If you toggle this on, they will also be allowed to edit or prompt the Airtable canvas for this app. So use this knowingly. If you toggle it on, everyone with creator access will also be able to edit this output here. So now we have this live version. Let's go ahead and open it up and actually see it in action. So here it is. It's going to take a moment to load. And again, this is based off of the Airtable data. You'll notice that I can edit right here. This is all pulling from the back end. So if we look at the Chen lighting install in Airtable, it's on the schedule right now. Flip back into Airtable. Let's find that particular one. CHEN lighting install right here. It's scheduled. What happens if I make the change here in the app? If I go ahead and mark this as complete, you're going to see it. App is going to shift. It's no longer showing up here at the top in the scheduled. And if I go back here to Airtable, we're going to see that it has now been marked complete in the data layer as well. So fully integrated, I never actually had to set up any API connections or anything like that. It worked automatically because Airtable Canvas is directly tied to that Airtable database. Flipping back into the canvas now, you'll notice that I can also add notes to the crew. So drop in a note here, save the note, This is all happening right inside of Airtable Canvas. This is a fully functioning app. But let's flip back into the actual Airtable Canvas because now it's time to share the app, and this is where things are a bit rocky. So flipping over here, you'll notice this line right here. It says, visible only to collaborators with access to the connected base. Here is the rub with Airtable Canvas, and we can't really fault Airtable for this because obviously they are a per-seat software. They are saying that you have to have access to the actual database in order to view the canvas. And this is why I think that Canvas works best at that exec level, at that admin level, because these are people who already have access to the backend database and not just the Airtable interfaces. And so those are the people who are going to be able to use Airtable Canvas appropriately. Another thing to call out here is that if you have read-only access in the database, even though as users we can come in and add notes or update these fields here, even though that is true that we have some edit capabilities in the application that we built, it does not mean that we are able to edit, because if we only have read-only access at the data layer, then we will not be able to actually edit inside of Airtable Canvas. The permission level that we have at the database layer will supersede anything that we built in Canvas. So if we can't edit the data, doesn't matter if Canvas allows us to, we still don't have permission to actually edit. And so even though we build a cool thing on Canvas, we can't do anything. One other quick thing to explore, because I think it's a little bit underrated, is the ability to also update your designs. So I mentioned that we already built the Gap Consulting here. You can create a new design. You can just point this at a particular website and it will go out and find the typography, the fonts, the colors. As you see here inside of the Gap Consulting breakdown, it identified our primary color and our color scheme. It wrote rules for how we use our different colors and our different fonts, and it even grabbed the favicon and brought it in here. So all of this can be edited. You can update this information, but when the app is actually built, when you tie it to a specific design type, it already feels on brand for you as a company. Two critical things to interject with. Number one, you might be wondering, where do I get access to Airtable Canvas? Well, I'm happy to say that we've talked to the product team over in Airtable Labs, and they've said that the first 50 people who apply to Airtable Canvas access through the waiting list, mentioning this channel, Gap Consulting, they will grant you expedited access. So follow these very steps. Go to airtable-labs.com/canvas. Join the waitlist, fill out your email address and the remaining parts of the form. And at the bottom where it says, what's the first thing you'd build or try? Mention Gap Consulting's YouTube channel and they will pull you up to the top and you can skip the line and get early access. The other important thing I want to call out is that if you're struggling to build these systems, this all is dependent on you having the proper data schema in the back end. If you don't have the right database set up, anything you try to build in Canvas is just going to fall apart. If you need help with that, sign up for a free strategy session at gapconsulting.io/strategy-call. You can meet with our team for 20 minutes, have a free consultation, and we can get you set up with your next steps to move your project forward. So let's wrap it up. What is Airtable Canvas? It's a prompt-based system that allows you to get a really polished web application out of your Airtable data, perfect for dashboards and light functioning applications. The best type of outcomes are executive dashboards or leadership updates, things that are really moving the needle and require summarization of the underlying Airtable data in a way that an Airtable interface is insufficient. But at the same time, we have to talk about what it is not. It is not a client portal. It is not a way to get around Airtable seats or users. Airtable Canvas looks very polished and external, but realistically, because people will actually need access to your underlying database, it's really a tool for internal use. If you can wrap your head around that and keep it straight, then you'll know exactly when to reach for Airtable Canvas. That's it for this one. Hope you got a ton of value here. Of course, give us a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more content like this, and we will be staying on top of Airtable Canvas as it gets out of its alpha and beta testing cycles. Hope you stay tuned for more in the future, but most importantly, keep on building.